Parkinsons, and today we're really excited to expand on our POP profile series by interviewing Dr. Berman, professor of neurology at VCU, chair of the Movement Disorders Division, as well as the director of the VCU Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Center. Brian, thanks so much for being with us today. We're excited to have you.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah. So before we get started with our questions, I wanted to share on behalf of Power of Parkinson's how truly excited we are to have you leading the way at the Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Center. So welcome. And as your community partner, we're excited to really establish an even stronger relationship with the center. So tell us, as we begin our discussion, tell us a little bit about what got you into neurology and specifically movement disorders in your career.
Yeah, sure. So I first became interested in neuroscience probably in the 90s, early 1990s, which was called the decade of the brain. And two advancements that had happened that it really caught my eye. One was the development of functional MRI. This was a tool to study the activity of the brain in people. And then also around that time, there was a study in Colorado where they were implanting stem cells into patients with Parkinson's disease. I was just really fascinated by that. And so, but my undergraduate was in physics, and I ended up doing a graduate program in medical physics. I worked for a few years, but then realized my passion was neuroscience and taking care of people. And so I ended up applying to medical school at the University of Colorado and starting there in the year 2000. And while I was there, you know, they have a program where you sort of work alongside another physician. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure I want to be a neurologist because of how much I love neuroscience. Can you just hook me up with a neurologist? And so they did, and it turned out he was a movement disorder neurologist in the community. And so I got to spend time with him and just really love seeing his care for these patients and all the different treatment options that were available to him, and the ways, even at that time, doing botulinum toxin injections, deep brain stimulation and surgeries. And so it really caught my attention, and really since then I've been hooked on the specialty and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, as you begin this next chapter of your career at VCU Health, tell us a little bit about what attracted you to VCU Health and specifically the VCU Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Center.
Sure. Well, the things that attracted me most to VCU, just a diverse, warm, welcoming community that's here. That was probably the biggest draw. I really, VCU has a particular focus on developing the neuroscience research, and that was especially attractive. I think also just the ability to clearly impact that the local philanthropic community had, both on the Parkinson Center and the whole Department of Neurology, really was very appealing as well. And those sort of all helped lead me to accept the position and come out here. Are you muted, maybe?
We got you, Dr. Berman.
Oh, you got me. Okay, I heard it muted there. So
we're delving into some of the center's goals.
Yeah. So some of my more specific goals then are, looking at developing our multidisciplinary clinical programs, both in Parkinson's disease and other movement disorders, to try to really expand the research portfolio of our group, to do more research on exercise and its impact on Parkinson's, sleep and its role in cognition and neurodegeneration in Parkinson's disease, as well as look at other research in deep brain stimulation, dystonia, dementia. So sort of expanding the profile. And then in addition to that, really just want to, we've talked about getting our fellowship program up and running. This is a really key component of a movement disorder program. And so that's high on my priority for the next near term. And then also working with POP, just to increase accessibility to educational resources, to exercise programs in this region is really one of my top goals as well.
That's fantastic. I think you already have a great pulse check on the community, because we found, just in terms of POP, that there's such a thirst for knowledge and information among the community. So you all offering programs to support that is fantastic. So I wanted to move on to the next question. Working with neurological disease and degenerative neurological disease is certainly taxing due to the inevitable decline of the patient. Tell me how you remain optimistic and passionate about this domain that you're working in.
Mhm. Well, I think it's easy to stay optimistic just because we continue to see these steady advances in our knowledge, in the medical science, ability to treat specific symptoms. And so that really helps fuel my enthusiasm for the future in this field. And I think, when I treat patients and care for them, I really try to focus on, um, helping them live their best life possible. I mean, everyone is going to be afflicted by something and have to deal with challenges. And so it's really just helping people live their best lives at whatever stage or whatever condition they find themselves affected by.
Okay. Well, of course, Parkinson's disease in and of itself is a tough diagnosis for anyone. What advice would you give to those who are newly diagnosed or who have just battled the disease for 10, 15 years to help them navigate through the course of the disease?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is a big question. And I know the answer could go on for quite a long discussion. If I guess some of the few points that I would say that are relevant here is one is that certainly when anyone's newly diagnosed is to focus on the present and to not get overwhelmed by what things might be coming down the road or what they might have done in the past up to this point. Really, focusing on the present and figuring out what can be done to help improve their life and make it better today. I think is a really key part of it. The other things is to pace themselves. I think, when anybody's faced with a new diagnosis, it's just, there's so much information. So it can be very overwhelming, and how they manage talking to their families or their plans, or just so many things come up. And these are not so rapid that you can't first just take it one sort of step at a time, and really get the details for what's relevant at the moment. Mm-hmm. And then finally, at any stage, really, I think one of the driving factors for my clinical practice is to try to keep people active and to keep them positive. I really believe in the power of positivity, and I think Newton's first law of motion is something I bring up, maybe perhaps with my physics background, but it's that a body in motion tends to stay in motion. And so really, I think it's one of the key things is just trying to keep people active and positive, and that this can really have an impact both on their health outcomes and their quality of life. And there's quite a considerable amount of data that supports that.
Okay. Well, there's, of course, a lot of research going on in the Parkinson's world right now. We heard a lot of it during last Friday's, for those of you who tuned in. Last Friday's technology webinar was wonderful. And a lot of research is being done right here in our backyard in Richmond. So tell us, Dr. Berman, what's something that, or maybe a few research projects that you're specifically excited about?
Yeah, so well, as you saw our webinar from last week, we have a lot of interesting technological types of research going on, but really there's quite a breadth of research that we're doing. We're looking at novel treatments for motor symptoms or motor complications, some of the issues we deal with certain medications in Parkinson's. We have new novel treatments for non-motor symptoms, such as constipation, and these technological advances or non-pharmacologic options, vibration therapy for the freezing of gait. These are really innovative, and it's very exciting to be here and part of that. And then there's also, I think some neuroimaging studies, both that are going on here. They're looking at new ways to try to help maybe predict which Parkinson's patients might have trouble with cognition, and also other conditions like dystonia that I'm doing some research in, imaging-wise, and also starting to sleep research here, and just the role that has in terms of improving cognition and preventing disease progression, and then perhaps even the connection between exercise and sleep might be something that we pursue. So really lots of exciting things and new ideas and proposals coming in all the time, and we're excited to actually expand our interdisciplinary sort of collaborative research, which is one of the goals have moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic that you shared such an array of diverse research because, first and foremost, and certainly the people with Parkinson's do, the disease is so diverse and there's so many components of it, cognitive components, motor components. So it's neat to see research, again, right here in Richmond being done on an array of facets of the disease. So I think that's really exciting. I would be remiss, of course, not to mention COVID-19 during an interview. Unfortunately, one day we'll not talk about COVID, but I'm hoping you can share a few takeaways to people with Parkinson's, some things that they can help kind of wade through this new normal that hopefully will one day go away, and it will, but provide them with a few takeaways on how to navigate this world as they also navigate a Parkinson's diagnosis and journey.
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, we continue, all of us, we think about it probably every single day still. And it's, many patients with Parkinson's disease or other movement disorders, they have questions about their health and about COVID-19, about the vaccines. And I guess in general, what I say that it's important to follow the general guidelines in terms of lowering your risk to be exposed and to get COVID. So social distancing still matters, wearing masks, frequently washing your hands. Those are all still important to maintain, even when people have been vaccinated, because we just don't have all the answers right now. And so we need to play it safe. And then in terms of getting vaccinated, the latest, there's lots of discussion amongst the Parkinson's experts and others. So this is not just something novel. We've been discussing this, and it's really agreed upon by nearly everyone that it's important for them to get vaccinated still. And so I would encourage patients to do that, but really because each person and individual has their own personal medical history, and can't just say that for everyone. So they really need to discuss this with their neurologist or their primary care provider to make sure that it's the right thing for them.
Okay. Well, for my final question, we've learned a lot about your career journey and your aspirations for the center, but hopefully you can share a little tidbit about what you do on your personal time for folks to get to know you a little bit more as you assimilate into the Richmond community. Share a little bit about that space for us.
Sure. So when there's time, which there hasn't been so much lately since getting here, but when I do have time, I mean, I say, I really enjoy spending time with my family and my two sons. I try to play guitar when I get some free time. I love to go hear music, go to concerts. So I'm looking forward to when they're back. I love traveling, all kinds of, usually go out of the country at least once a year. And I run a lot, and I just engage in all kinds of outdoor activities. So I love hiking, biking, snowboarding. I haven't done that much here though. And but there has been some snow, so I just need to check that out.
You brought it with you.
Yes. I'm excited to see what Richmond has, and looking forward to being more open this summer, hopefully. And
wonderful. So for those of you who are listening, we'll plan a mini concert for you, and you'll be playing your guitar for everybody.
It'll be time to practice, but maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Dr. Berman, thank you so much for being with us today. We're excited to share this video with our listeners so they can get to know you a little bit more and your goals for the center.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and look forward to working with you more in the coming months and years.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. Take care.